Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Permission to board. Permission to come aboard. Permission to board. Permission to bring me aboard. Permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Permission Granted podcast. Here's D.A.
Welcome inside the freshest edition of the Permission Granted podcast, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Once again, the ways that you can get this is on our normal iTunes feed with the shows that we put on every single night. Also, they're always available on Facebook, embedded as a video player there, so it's really easy. The best thing you can do is just like our Facebook page. If you're not already a friend of the Facebook page, you are doing something wrong because we have all the links up there for the podcast and whatnot. We've got the best of clips up there. We've got all of these, the Permission Granted podcast bonus content, videos, and pictures and everything that we kind of talk about on the show. So go to facebook.com/TheDA Show and like the show page. We'll get your timeline popping. On today's Permission Granted podcast, we will break down the 12 DAs of Christmas. We've got a list and we're checking it twice. And Jacob Wilkins, the voice of the Chicken Challenge and the Wienership 3 and all silly play-by-play that happens here on the DA Show, will join us to discuss that. And bonus video of myself and Mraz and Wilkins breaking it down is available on the Facebook page. So if you're listening right now on iTunes or on the stream at daoncbs.com, go to our Facebook page and check out the actual video of it. But joining us right now is a guy that is infamous, famous, all at the same time. He is Steve-O from Jackass on MTV, the Jackass movies, Wild Boys, another television show on MTV, and now he's going to be performing stand-up. He's on a stand-up tour, and it's coming through Atlanta. So all you guys down in Atlanta, check him out. He's at the Atlanta Improv, and it's coming up this week, December 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Steve-O joining us here on the DA Show's Permission Granted podcast and the DA Show on CBS Sports Radio. Steve-O, how are you, my man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You got it. Now, it's interesting because back in, I guess it was 02 or 03, you came through Fort Myers, Florida, Naples, Florida, and I saw you perform your traveling road show. And at that time, you weren't really doing stand-up. You were doing a lot of physical comedy, and by that I mean kind of like mutilating yourself. So
pretty much, right. It was a lot of getting loaded. That whole tour I promoted by promising to be drunk and on drugs or your money back.
So both of those things happened, and I think you stapled something to your chest that night that I saw you.
Right, yeah. I would have had like all the girls in the crowd throw their bras and panties, as many as I could get, and I would staple them all over my body.
Yeah.
And, you know, stuff like that. It was a good time. Now, and I still, you know, I don't know. I guess like it's less like drunken rambling and more actual comedy with different kind of tricks and stuff still mixed in.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, stand-up is a totally different craft. It's a totally different art. So when did you start trying to study that and work on material and go that route?
My first time trying it was almost 10 years ago now, in 2006. And it was purely unintentional. I got invited to do a stunt at a comedy club, and when I got there, I couldn't think of anything crazier than me trying stand-up. So I just kind of winged it and had a pretty favorable experience and just kept pursuing it. And now I've been on the road doing, you know, I've been on tour for the last 5 years. I just taped my first comedy special for Showtime, and it's all been going really well, man.
So interesting because so many stand-up comedians say it's a terrifying experience. You know, it's you and you're alone and you're naked. But the thing is, you've always been kind of a fearless guy. I mean, you took on things that nobody would ever dare think about doing. And so were you scared? Is there an element of fear in it, or you just kind of
I was absolutely terrified. Yeah, for sure. Like, I was definitely terrified. And, you know, I think that's what kind of drew me to it a little bit. But yeah, I love it, man. And my comedy is really like kind of similar to my stunts, I would say, because Yeah, I'm a genuinely shameless and reckless guy, and I'll admit things that nobody in their right mind ever would. And with everything I've done in my career, I've developed a pretty keen sense of what is versus what isn't entertaining, and I do a good job of not wasting people's time and keeping it really juicy.
So you've battled your fair share of personal problems and been in rehab and been in, and battled drugs and all those types of demons and all of that stuff. How much of that will you delve into in trying to find things that work and be open and be funny?
Oh, dude, I'm all about it. I find all kinds of hilarity in being a drug addict, sex addict, and an alcoholic, and an attention whore. It's all in there. I really bring all my experience. Like before I was on television, I was a circus clown, and everything that I've done in my life, all my experience, I'm not afraid to bring it all into the mix.
Comedian Steve-O joins us here on the DA Show on CBS Sports Radio. I think about you guys and Jackass and Wild Boys and always kind of upping the ante and always, you had to go for a bigger shock and something that could affect the audience even more. Did that become exhausting at some point in time because you just couldn't raise the bar anymore?
Yeah, I would say that you definitely have to make it either bigger, you either have to raise the bar or you have to just come up with something different and original. And with Jackass, I think that, frankly, I think that last movie that we made, the super slow motion camera was really the star of that movie. We kind of really barely squeaked it out. I think we were kind of out of ideas for that one.
Yeah, there's only so many there's only so many ways you can hurt yourself and be in danger, right?
Right. I guess to an extent. But I'm not bagging on it. It was good. I just think that it kind of. People always ask about, oh, are you going to make a Jackass 4? And I, for one, am not sure that we would even have a fourth movie in us if everybody was healthy and some guys are too busy, some guys maybe aren't that healthy at this time. There was a radio DJ in Tampa who told me that when he went to see Jackass 3D, that he was concerned. He was really scared for us that it would have reached a point where it had become sad to watch us do those things. And I felt he was being really candid, and that he said he was relieved to find that we were still getting away with it. But now at this point, 6 years later, I think that that's a legitimate concern. I wonder, so I don't know. I'm glad to have evolved the way I've evolved. I'm still fully willing to do ridiculous, dumb things, and I'm still an attention whore and I'm still a wild man. But I'm really, really grateful for the way that I've kind of moved into this other kind of phase of my career with stand-up. And for all the people who have kind of made a name for themselves doing one thing and then tried stand-up, very few of them have really pulled it off. And, like I said, I've been on tour for 5 years, and I just taped a comedy special for Showtime. And I'm so thrilled to be really doing well with it. And I genuinely care about it. So
Steve-O's going to be performing at the Atlanta Improv coming up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. One thing I was also thinking about watching Jackass for all those years of the movies was when you had the disclaimer early, hey, do not try this at home, and MTV will not look at any submissions. I thought about the responsibility you guys might feel because you had so many fans and people I'm sure came up to you and been like, yeah, I tried what you did, or guess what, I had a python bite my balls off, or, I smashed my head in with some type of mallet or something. And my guess is that there were points in time when you guys were like, guys, don't do that. You won't get famous just like us.
We never cared. I shouldn't say we didn't care one way or the other. The highest form of flattery is imitation, they say, and I don't know. I was never particularly concerned. I do think that the warning at the beginning of the shows is more of a,
A legal thing.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's like, it's kind of like when you see, like when the TV show comes on and it says, warning, viewer discretion advised. It's basically saying don't change the channel because this is going to be awesome. Like you don't want to miss this, and I think that the way that little kids would read the warning about not imitating the stunts, it's like they see, warning, if you do any of this stuff you're about to see, you're going to be the man. Like warning, it would be really cool to repeat this stuff, because everybody did. So I don't know. Certainly, our move onto the big screen had everything to do with that because the warnings didn't do the trick, and kids started showing up in hospitals left and right. And MTV got real scared, for the liability of little kids getting hurt, and that was why the move to the movies, because with that R rating, that we had some kind of legal protection from copycat lawsuits.
How about the fame of it? You guys traveled in a pack. You did crazy things. You kind of were living a life that a lot of dudes would love to live. I'm sure there were chicks everywhere and booze everywhere and drugs everywhere.
Sure.
That fame, that celebrity, and doing it with your buddies just being crazy, do you look back and go like, my God, I can't even believe that was real life?
Well, I mean, it was all I ever wanted, and from as a little kid, I was like super fan of Motley Crue, and it wasn't because they were like great musicians, it was because of the way that they behaved so terribly badly, and I just wanted to party like that. I wanted to just sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and whatever the shortest distance was between me and living that way was what it was going to be.
One of the craziest things was when you got arrested for stapling your scrotum to your leg
right.
in Louisiana. When I don't know how they issued that warrant for your arrest, but were you just laughing hysterically?
At the time, I was not laughing. I wasn't laughing hysterically at all. I was facing 8 years in prison, and
was it that much? Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, there were two crimes, I guess. Two crimes I was charged for anyway. And this was back on the old road show that you were talking about before. I would drink a bottle of tequila sort of throughout that performance. And this one show in Louisiana, somebody climbed on the stage and grabbed the bottle, and the bouncers came running over and really neutralized them. And I was impressed by the bouncers, so I said, who wants to get on stage and try to run past the bouncers across the stage? And so I picked this kid, and he tried to run past the bouncers, and they picked him up and spiked him on his head. They just slammed the kid on his head on the stage. And so I got charged with a crime for setting that up. It was called principal to battery, which was a felony. And then there was the part where I stapled my scrotum to my leg. I just had all my garbage out, butt naked with the stapler in my hand, and I was covered in blood. And I said, this is not art. This is strictly to be offensive. And I stapled my balls to my leg, and for that I got charged with felony obscenity. Yeah, I mean, definitely, being charged with that, and I made it back home to L.A., where I was picked up on a fugitive warrant for $1.12 million.
Oh, my goodness.
I know, and, of course, it all, became, more manageable, but I spent 5 days in L.A. County Jail, which is actually where I'm headed next week. I'm going back. I might be back in the same cell and everything. Next week, because I got sentenced for my SeaWorld protest. I'll tell you, man. My criminal record is colorful and hilarious.
Yeah, it's got a lot of colorful incidents. Hey, my final question is: have you always had an extraordinarily high threshold for pain?
I haven't, man. It's not that. And if I had, a high threshold for pain. I think it would be really boring to watch a lot of the painful stunts because there wouldn't be a reaction to it. Like if anything, I feel pain like probably more than the average person, and and that's why I guess the reactions are more entertaining to watch. What drives me is just I'm just an attention whore through and through, and that's what it is. I don't have a high threshold for pain. I have an exceptionally unreasonable hunger for attention, and it's always been that way. It's sort of a blessing and a curse. Like it didn't really work in my favor when I was younger, but of course now I've kind of grown up. I've matured a little bit, and I've kind of refined the art of being an attention whore, and it's kind of worked out pretty well in the end.
You got to check this out. He is going to be doing a stop at the Atlanta Improv that comes up Thursday.
That's right, the Atlanta Improv. And after every show, I still, I stick around. I take pictures with everybody that wants one. Like I do like a free meet and greet.
That is awesome. So that's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this weekend.
It will. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the Atlanta Improv. And hey, man, I really appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a blast. I love doing it, and I'm not going to waste anybody's time down there.
No, my pleasure. And you can always follow Steve-O on Twitter at Steve-O and check out his website as well for the latest information on what he's going to be up to at steveo.com. Hey, man, all the best of the luck. I wish I could be in Atlanta this weekend to check you out, but hopefully I can check out another tour stop, man. Thanks so much.
Hey, man, for sure. If not, I got my Showtime comedy special coming out in March.
There you go. Showtime comedy special with Steve-O coming out in the spring in March. Steve-O, you be good, buddy. We'll hopefully catch up again.
Likewise, man. Thank you again.
Okay, you too. Very cool stuff. Thanks to Steve-O for joining us here on the show and the PGP, man. He was great. That was really, really great. I wish I could go see the show. So thanks to him for dropping on by. And now it's time to take a look at the 12 days of Christmas. We've got our 18 candidates that have been whittled down throughout the year. Which 12 will make it? Let's bring in Jacob Wilkins, the voice of the Chicken Challenge and the Wienership, 2 spots that are taken here on the 12 days of Christmas candidate list. And Mraz joins us as well. Wilkins, you haven't been present for all of these, but you have some sense of what's been going on this year.
Yes, yeah, very, very in touch with the show.
You do,
with the mothership.
You do know the 12 days of Christmas and what they represent.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Let's. Do you have any favorites right off the top of your head, Mraz?
2.
Okay.
I've thought about this list hard. My 2 would be one that Jacob was a part of, the Chicken Challenge.
The Chicken Challenge,
yes.
Right? That's one of the kind of staple signature moments of the year.
I think the hype that went into it and the way it delivered. The other would be the sex therapist Elizabeth Mandel in studio.
Okay, that was Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, and I thought that was awesome. Now, again, I've had the pleasure of going back and listening to a lot of these because I'm the one that's put together the list here. Those are the 2 that stand out to me as top-notch favorites.
Now, did we think at all about when Jacob Wilkins recreated Rob Conrad's swim through shark-infested waters?
Yes, and the reason I've waived that, if you will, as good as that was, Jacob, you've had better moments on the show, number 1. Number 2, Rob Conrad, other than the press conference, has really swayed away from speaking about it. And it seems like a very serious moment that we, I don't want to say we mocked. We had fun with it. But knowing really how serious it was after we had fun with that, I decided almost like, to burn the tapes, if you will.
Right,
Scratch that from the record.
Would that be better if it never saw the light of day for you?
No. To me, I flipped. Remember, beforehand, I was concerned about that we were maybe making light of a serious moment. Then we did it. And I feel like it's one of the more underrated moments of the year.
Do you think your performance was better in Rob Conrad's swim to safety, the Wienership 3, which is obviously on this list, or the Chicken Challenge?
Yeah, so I go Chicken Challenge number 1. That made me on this show. That made me with my boss. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of things riding on the Chicken Challenge.
Yeah.
I think will he survive on the Wienership?
Oh, will he survive?
I think
is Mraz going to survive?
Mraz.
If you're going to remember the quote, get the quote right.
I said it. I can interpret.
Is Mraz going to survive?
Right. You could also put the explosion, the bar fist from Badlands Booker.
Yes.
I mean, I've never seen something like that. A traumatic visual that will live for years to come.
See, now, does the Wienership get hurt here? Because the Wienership 1 and 2 have both been on the 12 DAs. It's a signature moment. It's a staple. Now, does one or two things happen? Does the wienership become watered down as one of the 18 and maybe fall off the list because, well, it's appeared on the list, it's something that happens every year? Or does it get rejuvenated because now Jacob was the play-by-play voice on the wienership, and therefore it changes everything?
I think it gets hurt because of redundancy. I think people are expecting it, and so people will remember the chicken challenge more than they will remember the wienership.
Exactly, 2 food challenges. This is the first time we'll have 2 food challenges available.
But and it's not about me, for the wienership, that was a thing where we thought it might be Mraz's time to be dethroned.
Right.
And in fact, he won again, at least compared to the other coworkers. So
Didn't
it
win
showed
to
that he was
Badlands
still there.
Booker, but I stood in there.
But among the other,
I battled harder than I did the year before.
But the chicken challenge was dramatic because Mraz was
That's true.
dramatic in victory.
Yeah.
Right? He was,
a rout.
memorable and dramatic in victory.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Wilkins' take here, Mraz. And, for only doing the updates once, maybe every 3 weeks throughout the year for us, he was a huge part of the 2015 DA show because of all of his ancillary play-by-play stuff.
He really supplanted himself, if you will.
Cemented
himself.
Yeah.
Anytime you saw Jacob on the schedule and you knew he was going to be on the DA show, there was always the potential, no pun intended, for a 12 DA to appear.
I'm looking at this list. I really honestly don't know how we're going to whittle it down to 12 because we have 18 here, right?
Yes, there's 18. I'll tell you what's interesting about whittling it down to 12. What I find crazy, and I know I just mentioned this to Jacob about like kind of 2 favorites. The past couple years, I remember looking at the list and going, all right, well, that's either 1 or 2. That's either 1 or 2. I honestly have no idea what should be number 1 here.
A parody-stricken 12 DA.
It really is. And it's not to say it's a bunch of 6 and 5, 5 and 6s like the NFL is. I think there's a lot of strong, 8 and 3s on the list.
A lot of 8 and 3s.
There really is. I think it's a deep roster. It's a talented roster, but the system works. It's a San Antonio Spurs system on the 12 DAs where, I think whatever falls at 12, whatever that happens to be this year, you can make a case that maybe that should have been number 1.
And we replay these great moments every night up until Christmas Eve. So these are the 12 DAs of Christmas. Let's start at the top. Billy Giacalone can't smell smelly sneezes. Now, your sneezes smell like farts, and Giacalone actually can't smell them.
Right, and what's ironic about this is this did not actually happen in 2015. This happened after Kenny Brock's departure while we were playing last year's 12 DAs.
Oh, that's right.
And you made a ruling that should be eligible for this year's 12 DAs because it was ineligible for last year's 12 DAs, even though it happened in 2014 because the 12 DAs had already begun.
Correct. 2 callers that called in that I think get significant run here. Meth Head Mark, which was back in January.
Right, who was really weird.
Really weird. I mean, to the point where we really thought that maybe something.
Right, and he was talking about maybe being in prison at one point, and then was speaking like he was abducted by aliens.
What was more memorable, Meth Head Mark or David in Vancouver, the angry Canadian that thought I was an ugly American?
David in Vancouver was more ridiculous and obnoxious,
like a cartoon.
Yeah, he didn't get that we were all laughing at him. I think the more shocking moment was Meth Head Mark. Meth Head Mark was more shocking.
Okay. I have to listen back to Meth Head Mark, but I feel like David in Vancouver has to make it because I had people, I gauge a lot of these by the reaction of people that don't normally contact me about the show.
Right.
So we have hardcore listeners that love everything that we do. I shouldn't say everything, but some of the things and regularly kind of comment on stuff. And then I just have a few friends that listen irregularly or every so often and will bring up something and by the way, this was nuts. David in Vancouver satisfied that box a lot. That got checked a lot by friends that I hadn't heard from.
I think that's fair, and I think that's something to take in consideration is it's about the listeners with the 12 DAs, not just about the point that we're making.
You thinking Christopher Columbus was a pilgrim in April, that has to be in the top. It has to be in the top 10 and probably the top 5 and maybe the top 3.
This is a debate that still rages on within family because if you remember, I made the point that other family thought this, and this actually got brought up now that pilgrims are around for Thanksgiving time.
More than one in your family thought that Christopher Columbus was a pilgrim like you did.
And I had a family party on Black Friday at my aunt's house, and this was a debate that got brought up again was who was the first pilgrim, whatever, and somebody else in the room had shouted Columbus, and this whole thing got brought up. So it really just shows that the stupidity in my family really branches out. It's not just me.
The Long Island public school system failed all of you. And you mentioned this to me earlier, that you thought a real underrated wild card here that could maybe even get number 1 was when Tiffany Oshinsky from SportsIllustrated.com came in. Me, her, and Pete Mundo sang Backstreet Boys' "I Want It That Way" back in June.
Right, and I think when you listen to this moment and you look back, I can remember exactly where I was. Well, obviously, I was in the producer's chair.
Yeah.
And I remember when Mundo, out of nowhere, who was waiting for the update, just turned on his mic and started singing. When I'm looking for a 12DA, I'm looking for a moment where my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
My jaw dropped, and I belly laughed so hard when Mundo did that, because that was like Mundo's coming out party. Like, that wasn't something you saw from a Pete Mundo who fills in on the updates often.
That's right.
And him getting involved, and Tiffany just having a good time. I also think it really showcased, having guests in studio now as opposed to not doing the overnights. I like that moment a lot.
That's got to be a top 3. It's got to be a top 3 because that's one of the rare moments. I listen to the show fairly regularly. I listen to clips of the show all the time, but rarely do I, since we live it, rarely do I go back and listen to something else multiple times. I listened to Pete Mundo hitting the high note there. Must have been 5 times that night. It was so
great.
funny.
It was great. It's great, and I think it's often overlooked and overshadowed.
Because I can remember coming home being like, God, that was funny. And then going to our iTunes page, and I was in my kitchen making like a late snack, and I just had it on the counter, and I was laughing out loud because Mundo, oh, tell me why. Like, Mundo really went there.
He was into it. And again, that's spontaneous. I'm looking for jaw-dropping spontaneous. That was not like we invited Mundo in to join the party. He turned on the mic and went for it, and I thought that was great.
Drunk Jen, her first call back in April.
Which was crazy, but I'll tell you, I think Drunk Jen hurt herself by watering herself down and calling and being like that. Because now when we play back a Drunk Jen, it's like, well, we hear her every week.
She cries every week, but that was the first call that she called and laughed and cried at the same time, right? But the thing is, Drunk Jen's such a brand name now, so it's like hard to keep her off of this list.
Is it like, you bring her in because it's like, oh, okay, this was the first time she called. This was the birth of Drunk Jen?
Yeah. I kind of feel like Drunk Jen, her first call is the first time Icky Woods did the Icky Shuffle, right? A shooting star. Probably we're not going to hear from Drunk Jen often. We've seen this happen before where people flame out on the show. They become big, they become larger than life, and then they flame out and we never hear from them again. Kind of feel like we won't hear from Jen for a while.
Yeah, and I can also control that with screening calls,
That's
so
true.
We'll see.
The authorities might also control that. So, but she's such a household name. When she calls in, people are like, oh, my God, what's Drunk Jen going to do? It's like, oh, my God, Icky Woods scored. He's going to do the Icky Shuffle.
True. So maybe for consistency, you don't penalize here.
Penalize?
Penalize.
Well done. You like the relationship therapist. I got to listen back. That was awkward.
That's what's great about it. It's awkward.
It's really awkward.
It's so uncomfortable. It's great.
Because she was going places that we did not expect anybody to go.
No, and I had the unedited version pulled with a lot of bleeps thrown in it, so that should just be food for thought.
Because she was so sexual in how she was describing things.
It was crazy. It was awkward. It was gripping. It was crazy. And I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, Elizabeth Mandel also has a wild kind of speech pattern or delivery. It's like she's speaking as she's thinking.
Yes. No filter.
There's no filter because she's not processing really what she's saying. It's just tumbling out of her.
Thinking out loud.
But as a sex therapist, relationship therapist, she's thinking about very sensual, erotic things.
Yeah, it made everybody creepy and uncomfortable in that point. But it was great.
And what did she tell Ryan Aselta?
Ryan Aselta, I actually just listened to this a little while ago, said his kids want to get their mom a Valentine's Day gift. What's a proper thing for the kids? And her response was, why would your kids get something for Valentine's Day? Are you feeling incompetent as a man?
Inadequate.
I'm sorry, inadequate as a man. It was great.
2 lifestyle situations which were great. Number 1, when Shep, the producer Dave Shepard, Shep from the Pharrell Show, had no home.
Which was great. And he moved in with the college dorm.
And he was homeless. And he described to us his roommate who was
would stay awake staring at him while he slept.
That was awesome. That was so awkward. That was awesome. And then also when and that was in July, and then in August, when your wife
this one is making you lose it. By the way, I know which one you're going to read off, and this is what Berman thinks should be number one.
When your wife caught you checking out other chicks' boobs on
Cannons, as they were called.
Facebook, because you didn't know you had not hung up the phone, and the cell phone was sitting on your desk here at work, and you were like skimming through.
And I called over Berman and said, Berman, come here and look at these cannons. She stayed with the whole conversation as we dissected the girl's boobs.
And then how did you find out she was listening?
All of a sudden I got a text. She texted while she was on the phone. Whose cannons are you talking about? I had to pick up the phone, basically fumbled it.
Oh, man, that was great. That was like making me cry that night. Bart Scott fighting with Boston Mike.
I think because Bart's been an integral part of the show in the fall, I think if you're going to have any Bart Scott moment, it's that, and I think it has to be there.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then I don't remember your haircut. What was the situation with the haircut?
What was
when you were defending having to go to the barber shop?
Yes, I believe so. You know what? That's one I haven't listened to that's on the list that's in the file.
We didn't have your barber on the air, did we? Or did we?
No, we definitely didn't have the barber. Now I'm remembering because the barber now has this on MP3 and plays this clip all the time.
Didn't we go and tailgate with the barber?
Yes, we did.
At Giants Redskins?
We did, yes. But we were discussing how I have no hair, but I love the barbershop experience.
Yeah. We also have in this conversation when you defend Fat America against the Patriots when they tried to throw one of the ball boys under the bus for Deflategate when they called him the deflator because he was trying to lose weight.
Uses weight against him. That was ridiculous.
You were angry about that. When you couldn't sing Shake It Like a Salt Shaker because you messed up all the words and all the tunes.
That was actually kind of closetly funny, I think.
Closetly. It's a new adjective. But, yeah, I'll have to listen to that again. When you threw in the towel in the Giants season after 1/4 of the first preseason game back in August. But one that has to be in the top 12, I am adamant about this, is Rambling Roger. And this just happened a month ago. Less than a month ago, 3 weeks ago. But this late candidate has to make it because he gave us the now infamous drop. Shot, around.
If you give us a classic drop, you almost have to make it, right? Otherwise, what's the point of going classic-wise? Absolutely, and that whole call was crazy. That's what all started with his cards, right? Wasn't he the first ever caller that we let on twice in one show?
Oh, that's right, because he had all the Brett Favre rookie cards.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, when I look at this, my early favorites are the Backstreet Boys, also the Chicken Challenge, and Valentine's Day, the Relationship Therapist. That's a strong top 3 in my mind.
It's deep. It's
deep. Yeah, it's deep because it goes 5 deep because Meth Head Mark was totally nuts, and then and Rambling Roger was an insane. And I haven't even put in Dave in Vancouver. So yeah, I mean you've got 6 to 7 really, really good candidates here.
Flip a coin. I think that's going to add to the mystique and have people hooked in to listen to wonder where exactly all these moments will fall.
We are debuting this at the end of this week. The first DA will either happen on Thursday or Friday of this week, so we can wet everybody's whistle.
That's it. Let's get it started.
So let's start it. I think Thursday night we're gonna debut number 12. And then the only question is going to be, do we have first 4 out? Do we start playing?
Well, I'll tell you where the first 4 out will be played because I can control this. At some point, either Christmas Eve or Christmas night, we will have to put together a best of DA show that we'll play.
Okay.
And as part of that, I promise to the listeners that it will be my job to put together that show that whatever moments did not make the 12 DAs will be in the 4-hour program on the best of DA.
Okay, so there's only one show that we play that night?
It might be 1 or 2. I'm not sure whether, Christmas Eve and Christmas, whether they just do Christmas Eve and then somebody's filling in as a host on Christmas,
right?
Or if we have to fill in and do both, it is my job to put together a 4-hour program with basically, best of the DA show from the year. So I will make sure that whatever moments don't get in the 12 DAs, make that best of the DA show for the year show on Christmas Eve or Christmas.
I like it. All right, the 12 DAs of Christmas. The debut begins number 12 on Thursday, and the first 4 out will be as part of the Christmas editions of the DA show. The part B, the side B of the Permission Granted podcast is right now.
All right, let's go, DA show fans. It's Mraz here with you on the PGP side B. Woo! Feeling good today. Joey, D, Jolt, and Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Mraz. I'm glad to be here. How are you?
I'm doing much better than I was on Monday evening. And let's just start right off there, Joe. We come off the Thanksgiving break where let's be honest, food and/or alcohol was friendly with us. if you will.
Very friendly.
And we were over generous, and we basically crashed like food addicts on Monday and came into the DA show very sluggish. It was back to work as you're sinking in a chair right now.
I have no idea what's going on, but my chair just went all the way to the ground.
Joe is sitting left to right to me across your radios right now, and he is now sinking as his chair is basically falling into quicksand. The microphone coated in black. The headphones wearing with black and red. That was my Kevin Harlan doing you sinking in a chair. Now Joe gets up, and he's just as tall as he was in the chair. Okay, well, let's get back to what we were talking about. We crashed and burned because we were so dead. It was like we didn't have our blood sugar. We didn't have the food that our body had been accustomed to for a couple days. And it prompted us to do something big and ugly, and that was order a pizza. And not just a pizza. A large buffalo chicken pizza. Your thoughts, Joe?
I don't know what it was yesterday, Mraz, but I think the entire DA crew was just feeling down. The morale in the newsroom wasn't the same as it usually is on a Monday morning.
It was not. I blame that on Berman being in Puerto Rico and not telling anybody he was going.
Puerto Rico?
Did you know? I didn't know. Yeah, for those who don't know, Ron Flatter was on updates on CBS Sports Radio Monday afternoon. Usually that's a Jay Berman slot. And when me and Joe and I walk into the newsroom, usually bitter/better Berman is there. And for better or worse, whether he's in a bad mood or a good mood, it always makes us laugh just to see him. That's what we walk into.
Oh, he's just constantly cracking jokes. It
Right.
he just lightens up the newsroom.
He does. He was not there, and we did not know he was not going to be there because for some reason he went to Puerto Rico without telling anybody. So we walked into Ron Flatter, who, I mean, love Ronnie.
Great guy.
Not exactly the comedic relief that Berman brings to the newsroom, just a different energy.
No farts. It was different.
Right.
Way too different.
Right. So that was part of it, and part of it was for some reason we just found ourselves we were lagging and we were starving.
I don't know what, like I said, I still don't know what the problem was, and and probably the listeners by now know, I'm on a very strict diet. I'm constantly watching what I'm eating, the grilled chicken, the brown rice, the veggies, and I just decided, you know what? Let's go for this pizza. We left it up to you to order the type of pizza, and of course we went with buffalo chicken.
Oh, it was a need to be with the buffalo chicken. Well, see, that was the thing. DA came in, he threw a $10 bill on the console in a break, and he said, you know what, if you guys are all talking like you're hungry and you're going to order our pie, I'm in. I said, all right, DA, what do you want? He said, I'll eat anything you get on it. Now, in DA's mind, he's thinking maybe we're going to get some sausage, some pepperoni, some meatballs. We went and ordered buffalo chicken. DA's picking off the blue cheese off of it.
And I knew right away when he said it doesn't matter, whatever you guys want, I knew Mraz was going buffalo chicken all the way.
You're going to go big, you're going to go home. So basically, we're eating fried chicken cutlets cut up, coated in Frank's Red Hot sauce with blue cheese on it. The oil's dripping off the pie. And it's one thing to have a slice of buffalo. Okay, it's all in good fun. Then you have two slices, you're like, all right. Whoa, Nelly. As most of you know, a pizza is divided into 8 slices. So we went 2, 2, 2, left 2 more on the board. Joe got up during one of the last breaks and said, come on, Mraz, I'm going to have one here. Why don't you have that one there?
That's exactly how I sound, yes.
Right. So I gave in because I have no self-control, and I hated myself for it. Never did I feel more depressed on the DA show than after I had the third slice of pizza, Joe.
And I'm shocked, and I thought I was doing the right thing by saying, you know what, let's finish this off, because if we don't, then we're going to pass it along to, like, Shep, or it's going to go in the garbage. And I didn't want that to happen.
Shep would have probably eaten it out of the garbage.
Exactly, which that's just another story. So
Right.
I thought that by taking that third slice, that you wouldn't feel as bad that you were about to have a third slice, but that was completely wrong.
Well, I was not going to have the third slice until you had the third slice.
Well, Mraz, how old are you?
28.
Well, I think it's time to, to buckle down. And if you don't want something, just, say no, I'm going to pass.
I'll say this. I think I turned a corner with the slice of pizza because that was the most depressed. And that was real. What I was saying on the radio was real. I felt so down about myself that I went and ate that slice because I knew I'd eaten like a pig. And basically, within 5 days, I'm putting on, a lot of the weight I had lost in recent months. And I use it as motivation. Now, Joe, I had to wake up Tuesday morning, okay? Well, you're looking as my fly is down and I pull it up.
I was just going to tell you, hey, buddy, you left something unzipped there.
Stop peeking, okay?
Trust me, I'm not.
Anywho, I woke up. I was supposed to wake up at 8 o'clock, go help my brother-in-law move into Manhattan. Still had to do that. I got up at 6:30 in the morning off 6 hours sleep and busted it at the gym this morning. I've eaten healthier all day. Only got grilled chicken and vegetables. I'm eating up a little bit, bunch of diet shakes. I'm using it as motivation now. It's going to be a rallying cry. My rallying cry now for 2016 is I own my body.
I like that, Mraz. Now, the only problem that I have is I know you're pretty good during the week, Monday to Friday when you're at work.
Weekends.
But when you're at home on that couch and it's a football Sunday or there's college football games, you're slugging beers like no tomorrow.
Now, what did I just say to you, though? My rallying cry for 2016 is, I own my body.
You own your body.
Now, I'm going to do my best to navigate the holidays here. Now, it's impossible. I'm not going to sit there on Christmas Eve and tell you I'm going to have a salad. It's not going to happen. Okay?
I respect
But I need
that.
to manage the game plan a little bit, okay? I need to stay eating good Monday through Friday. I don't need the buffalo chicken pizza on Monday. But when 2016 comes, particularly after the Super Bowl, because I'm sure when I go to San Francisco those couple days, I'm going to be wreaking havoc at Fisherman's Wharf.
Poor DA.
Those parties, yeah. But I know I'm already making excuses here. That's the first weekend in February, and I'm still going to do my best before then. But once the football season closes up shop, Joe, in 2016, I own my body.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Right now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you could do it.
That's all I need. I'm always going to think back to that third buffalo slice, though. I'm going to be sitting there in March. You know, I don't want to give it all, lifting weights. I'm going to say, you know what? Remember when I had that slice of pizza? Well, Mraz, you own your body. I own my body. And then I'm going to have T-shirts printed next Christmas that comes out when I've lost all this weight saying, I own my body. And then hopefully I make money off those T-shirts so I can stop producing this show and make some money in my life.
That's how much you want to leave the DA show?
Right, that's it. That's it. No, I love being on the
come
DA
on.
show. I love being on the DA show. But then I don't have to be around, enablers like you and DA.
Stop.
You're enablers. You guys sit here all skinny, can eat whatever the heck you want. You can drink a milkshake right now. It'll go through you, no problem. I drink a milkshake. Each one of my ass cheeks is going to jiggle for a week. It's true.
That is true. That is
I
true.
wish I could live my life that way.
You were jiggling yesterday. It's true.
Now,
Just
how
jiggles.
did you feel after the pizza?
I'm going to be honest. I felt great. I think it's exactly what I needed right after I ate it. And I think maybe I didn't have enough carbs that day. And I didn't have enough fat. I don't know what it was, but it just made me feel great. I could have ran a marathon right after.
You didn't have enough fat, huh?
Yeah,
I got enough that'll store me till I'm 80.
Well, if I could take some, I would. But unfortunately, I'm going to pass on that.
All right.
But like I said,
By the way, when you're thin, you got a deep belly button? Like, I got the deep belly button, fit my whole pinky and stinks. What do you got working in there?
No, I can't fit my entire pinky in my belly
How
button.
deep's the belly button? What's the shallow depth on the belly button?
I don't know, like a nail's length?
Nails length. Does it stink?
Never.
See, I guess it just
Your
stinks with
belly
depth.
stinks?
The belly button. If you go deep into the belly button, like I could fit my whole pinky and then swerve it out and then sniff it under your nose, ooh. It's the worst smelling stink.
Oh, you're a disgrace. Why don't you just wash it?
I do. I get in there with the loofah. Sometimes I get in there with a Q-tip soap.
Every day.
At least twice a week, man, because it's a crevice.
When you you're telling me when you shower, you don't rub the loofah on your belly button every day?
I rub it on it, but it's a matter of getting in it, Joe.
Oh my God,
Joe, I'm telling you, it's a big man's
Sinkhole?
problem. There are guys out there, like the guy who tweeted DA, who's the size 5X, who out there who know what I'm talking about. People talk about your undergarments, your under your moobs.
do those stink?
Areas in your pants that would stink. The smelliest part of a big man's body is their belly button.
Ugh.
And I just wanted to take, as a thin guy, do you have a stinky belly button?
No, my belly button has never stunk, even when I was a little chubbo.
Hold on to that. Enjoy that. The way I look at that is there's oftentimes people get scholarships in college, right? And they don't have to pay student loans when they get out. And they always talk about, like, I had to work so hard in high school, I got the scholarship. And I always tell them, enjoy the fact that you're not going to pay student loans. So I'll tell you, like the student loans, enjoy the fact that you don't have a stinky belly button.
Thank you. I will enjoy that.
I hope you do. Was I enlightening in that particular moment?
I just never knew that chubbos had that problem. I mean, I could understand other problems like fitting into clothes and that stuff.
Whoa. Kiss your mother with that mouth?
I do, and you should be, you know what? You dropped the F-bomb yesterday on the show.
I
did. You realize?
And that shows how depressed I was.
You called yourself a fat bastard.
I did, and it was wrong. I was wrong. You should never shame yourself like that, but I did. And as I said, it's a rallying cry now for 2016. This fat bastard turns into I own my body.
I own my body. So what is the goal? What is the end-all goal here?
Just to lose weight, man.
How many pounds?
How about 30 pounds?
30 pounds.
30 pounds in a year. A year from right now, post-Thanksgiving, I want to be 30 pounds lighter than I am right now.
Dude, in an entire year, you could lose more than 30 pounds.
Okay, but why not shoot low and surprise yourself with more?
Shoot low?
No, because then if you shoot higher and then you end up, let's say...
Then it motivates you more to keep going.
Joe, because here's the thing. If I say I want to lose 60 pounds and all I lose is 45...
Then you keep pushing yourself.
No, then I'm going to feel bad. If I say I'm losing 30 and then I lose 45, I'm pumped up.
Nah, wrong mentality.
I don't think it's the wrong mentality.
Well, in the end, just lose some weight, buddy.
Yeah, that's going to wrap it up for the Permission Granted podcast. I hope you've learned a lot here on Side B. I know I have. And I know Joe has.
I definitely have. I'm going to actually go Google Chubbo belly button stink.
Okay,
see
so
what comes up.
Chubbos, you know what it is. So now between belly button stink and between eating pizzas, remember, 2016, I own my body.